He crossed his arms and said it flatly, "Either you accept my ex or we're done." And she didn't flinch. No tears. No begging. Just one calm sentence that changed everything. If you're ready to hear the whole story, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from, because tomorrow, I will be giving you another story just as crazy as this one. And you don't want to miss it. Now let's get into it. The hallway was too quiet for a Saturday morning. Nia stirred her tea, letting the spoon clink once against the ceramic. She didn't sip it. Just held the cup like it gave her something to do while the silence expanded across the kitchen like fog. The light through the window was warm. Gentle. But the air felt wrong. Too still. Damien walked in, phone to his ear, voice low and clipped. He paused when he saw her. She didn't speak. Just offered a nod and turned back to the stove. He ended the call without explanation. Then, "You're up early." She placed 2 eggs on a plate. Didn't sleep much. No follow-up. No concern. Just 2 people orbiting around a center that had collapsed months ago. Across the room, a photo frame hung slightly crooked. Their wedding. 2 years ago. Nia in ivory, full of hope. Damien, laughing in a way she hadn't seen since. He sat at the table and scrolled his phone. "My ex is back in town." She didn't look up. Didn't react. He waited for something. Tension, curiosity, even jealousy. Nothing came. Later that day, she folded laundry in silence. Pressed each shirt with care. Paused on one of his, a crisp white button-down he hadn't worn in months. She set it aside. Not out of anger. Out of clarity. Nia's calm wasn't performative. It was protective. Years of being told you're too much had taught her how to shrink without disappearing. But shrinking wasn't the same as staying. Damien met his ex for coffee that evening. Didn't mention it to Nia. Didn't need to, he thought. They weren't fighting. Weren't passionate. Weren't anything. He didn't realize silence doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes it's a countdown. That night, Nia sat on the edge of the bed, wrapping her hair. He stood at the dresser, pulling off his tie. Then, out of nowhere, "She's coming by tomorrow." Nia didn't ask who. She already knew. He added, "I expect you to be civil." She blinked once. "You expect me to entertain your past in my house?" Damien sighed. "She's not just the past. She's important. You need to accept that." A pause. Then the words. "Or what?" He turned fully to face her. "Or this marriage gets real uncomfortable real fast." She looked at him. No raised voice. No sharp inhale. Just one quiet, pointed reply. "I see." She stood, turned off the lamp, and walked out of the room. He stared after her, expecting her to slam a door. Cry. Argue. But the house stayed quiet. Too quiet. Have you ever been in a situation where someone expected you to break, and you chose silence instead? What did that moment change for you? Tell us in the comments. The next day, the doorbell rang just after noon. Nia didn't move. She was already seated on the couch, legs crossed, back straight, mug in hand. Not dressed up. Not dressed down. Just present. Damien walked past her without a word and opened the door. "Come in," he said. The woman stepped inside, polished, heels sharp, perfume trailing behind her like punctuation. "Nia," Damien said, "this is Serena." Nia met her eyes. Offered a polite hello. Serena smiled, tight and rehearsed. "So nice to meet you." Finally. She extended a hand. Nia looked at it, then back at Damien. Then stood. Shook it once. Lightly. "Would you like tea?" Serena blinked. "Sure. I guess." In the kitchen, Nia moved with care. Boiling water. 2 mugs. One for herself. One for the woman her husband had just invited into their living room like this was normal. Damien paced near the window, pretending to scroll through his phone. They all sat. Couch, armchair, silence. Nia placed the mug in front of Serena. Then, without sitting down, she looked at Damien. "I'd like to understand," she said, voice even. "What is this?" "She and I, we stayed friends," he replied, guarded. She's going through a lot. I thought it would be mature of you to let go of any tension. Nia nodded slowly. So you brought her here. Damien shifted. I told you. If we're going to make this work, you have to accept her. Serena added too quickly, I'm not trying to start anything. I just think we can all be. Nia raised a hand. Didn't yell. Didn't waver. Please don't finish that sentence. Serena's lips pressed together. Damien stepped forward. Nia, come on. Be reasonable. Nia tilted her head. Reasonable. He nodded. She's going to be around. I'm done pretending I owe you a version of myself that cuts off people who've mattered. A beat. You accept that, or this marriage becomes impossible. Silence. The kind that makes a room smaller. Then, Nia did something no one expected. She smiled. Not cruelly. Not sarcastically. Just calm. Whole. Still. Then clearly. Okay. Damien blinked. Okay. Nia nodded. If you want her in your life, that's your choice. But you don't get to decide the shape of mine anymore. She turned to Serena. Thank you for coming. This conversation gave me clarity. Then looked back at Damien. You don't need to threaten me with divorce. You're free to leave. Serena's eyes widened. Damien stammered, That's not Nia, this isn't about. No, she interrupted gently. It is. You thought you could break me with options. She stepped closer. But I don't belong to someone who only values me when I'm silent. She walked past them both. Went into the bedroom. Closed the door. Damien stood frozen. Serena sat still, unsure whether to sip the tea or disappear into the floor. Inside the bedroom, Nia exhaled. Deep. Clean. She didn't cry. Didn't scream. She started packing. Not because she was weak. Because she was done. The door clicked behind her, but Nia didn't lock it. She didn't need to. Some exits can't be closed with a knob. She folded 3 shirts, 1 pair of jeans, and the earrings she wore on their 2nd anniversary. Not much else felt worth keeping. Outside, Damien stood like the floor had shifted beneath him. She's packing, Serena said. He looked at her. I didn't think she would. She didn't yell. She never does. That was the problem, wasn't it? Serena stood. I should go. Damien didn't answer. So she left. And suddenly the house was too quiet, not just empty but stripped. He knocked on the bedroom door. Didn't wait to be invited in. Nia. She zipped her duffel bag. He tried again, softer. Can we talk? You gave your speech already, she replied. I was angry. No, she interrupted. You were certain. That landed harder than he expected. He sat on the edge of the bed like it still belonged to both of them. Nia, I didn't expect you to actually leave. She raised an eyebrow. So you believed I had no line? I believed we'd work through it. You believed you could define what working through meant. His voice dropped. I didn't choose her over you. Nia looked at him, steady. You chose power. You thought I'd beg. You used divorce like a lever and assumed I'd fold to keep the peace. She picked up her coat. I am the peace. Damien stood now, voice rising, not in anger, in panic. Where are you even going? To where I'm not treated like a guest in my own marriage. I messed up. She nodded. You did. He stepped forward. But I love you. She tilted her head. Then why did you ask me to accept someone else's position in your heart without question? Silence stretched. He didn't answer. She didn't wait. By the door, she paused. Turn back one last time. You should sit in this house alone for a while. Listen to how loud it gets when a woman like me stops filling it with grace. Then she opened the door. Left it gently ajar. Not for him. For herself. Outside, the air was cold. But her shoulders were light. 2 weeks passed. No messages. No apologies. No noise. Nia stayed with her cousin in a smaller part of town. Different rhythm. Slower mornings. The absence of forced compromise felt like oxygen. She didn't speak about Damien much. Didn't need to. Her peace filled the silence for her. Then came the text. From Damien's sister, Uncle Jerome's memorial is Saturday. Damien's speaking. I thought you'd want to know. No pressure. No assumptions. Just information. Nia stared at the screen for a while before replying. I'll be there. She arrived alone. Pressed black dress. Clean hair wrap. A softness in her step, not hesitation, just intention. Inside the church, the air was thick with warmth and grief. People hugged her like she hadn't disappeared. They didn't ask questions. They just squeezed her hand. Damien saw her from the pulpit. His throat caught, not at her beauty, but her distance. She didn't shrink in the crowd. She didn't smile in apology. She was just there. Whole. After the service, they found themselves standing near the refreshments table. No one else hovered close. He nodded first. Thanks for coming. She nodded back. I wasn't there for you. A pause. He accepted that. Then asked, how have you been? Aligned. That word didn't sting, it startled. He expected healing. He got certainty. A child ran past them. His niece, giggling, dragging a balloon string behind her. Nia bent down, tied the knot that had come undone, and handed it back. She waved as the girl ran off. Then looked back at Damien. You always wanted love to be convenient, she said. I wanted peace, he replied. No. You wanted peace your way. That's control, Damien. He opened his mouth to argue. Then closed it again. She watched him struggle. Not because she enjoyed it, but because it wasn't hers to fix. His mother called from across the room. Nia smiled gently. I'll give you space. She turned to leave. He stepped forward. Nia, if I ever. She stopped him. You already did. They didn't hug. Didn't linger. Just parted. And somehow, it felt more intimate than any kiss they ever shared. Back at her cousin's place, Nia pulled off her earrings and sat by the window. She didn't cry. Didn't second guess. She just breathed. And let herself feel the weight of being whole again, even in the same room with what once broke her. Nia sat on the porch steps, barefoot, journal in her lap. She hadn't touched it in months. Now, the words came. Not about Damien. About before. Her father used to say, still waters run deep, but people don't bother diving unless you splash. She used to hate that. Because she wasn't a splash. She was steady. And people mistook that for easy. At 16, Nia's first boyfriend told her, you never get mad. That's scary. At 19, her roommate said, you're chill until you're done, then it's like a switch flips. By 26, she'd learned not to over-explain herself. She didn't raise her voice. She raised the standard. She met Damien at a gallery opening. He liked how she listened. How she let silence breathe. He once said, you calm my chaos. But what he meant was, you don't ask for more than I'm willing to give. The first time he spoke about Serena, long before the marriage, he called her unfinished business. Nia asked what that meant. He said, she hurt me. I never got closure. Nia, being who she was, nodded. Didn't press. She thought, if he chose me, it meant he was done looking backward. But people don't always choose with clarity. Sometimes they choose with fear. With ego. With silence. Back in his apartment, Damien pulled an old photo album from the shelf. Dust lifted as he opened it. His mother, his father. Always apart in the pictures, never smiling at the same time. He remembered once, age 10, hearing his mother cry behind a door. His father left the house after. Said nothing. Never came back. He learned early, power is survival. Control keeps things from vanishing. When Nia left, he told himself it was temporary. A phase. She needed space. But watching her at the memorial, centered, not bitter, shook something loose. He wasn't the victim. He was the lesson. He called his sister that evening. Did you know Nia hated ultimatums? She hated being spoken over, she corrected. He sighed. I thought love could be managed. It can't, she said. It has to be honored. At her cousin's, Nia flipped to the last page in her journal. Wrote, "He didn't break me. I just outgrew the story where I had to shrink to stay loved." She closed the journal. And smiled. They met again on neutral ground. A bookstore cafe. Public. Quiet. Small tables. Nothing heavy enough to carry the weight of blame. Nia was already seated when he walked in. No makeup. No performance. She was centered in herself. Damien sat across from her. Didn't reach. Didn't start with an apology. Just let the silence rest between them like a shared breath. Finally, she said, "You wanted to talk." He nodded. "I didn't come to win anything back." "That's good," she replied. "Because I'm not a prize." That landed, but she said it softly. No cruelty. Just fact. The barista called an order. Neither moved. "I used to think strength was keeping everything on schedule," he said. "Love, emotions, trust, like appointments." She tilted her head. "You managed our marriage like a business pitch." He almost smiled. "I thought calm meant approval." "I was calm because I was constantly choosing whether I'd lose more by speaking." That quieted him. She sipped her drink. He asked, "Were you ever going to fight for me?" "I was fighting every time I made room for you while making less for myself." A pause. "I just stopped when I realized you mistook that for loyalty instead of loss." Silence again. But now it felt earned. Heavy but clean. He reached into his jacket. Pulled out something small. A folded paper. "I found this in one of your books," he said. "You must have forgotten it." She opened it slowly. A note she'd written to herself months ago. "If I ever feel like I have to ask for basic respect, I'm in the wrong place." She folded it back up. Didn't cry. Didn't smile. Just whispered, "Thank you." He leaned back. "This might sound strange," he said. "But I'm proud of you." She blinked. "Why?" "Because you didn't let me dim you. Even when I tried in quiet ways." She finished her drink. Placed the cup down gently. "People assume loud love is the real kind," she said. "But sometimes love just sounds like, you don't have to carry that anymore." He nodded. "I hope you find someone who listens before they lead. I hope you find someone who doesn't confuse peace with permission." They stood at the same time. Didn't hug. But didn't look away, either. As she turned to leave, he said, "Nia." She paused. "I learned something." She waited. He said, "You were never the problem. You were just the only honest person in the room." She didn't reply. But she didn't need to. Outside, the air was light. Cool wind. No pressure. She walked without rushing. Nothing to prove. Nothing left behind. 2 days later, Nia stood in her cousin's hallway, scanning a job listing on her phone. Nonprofit coordinator in Chicago. New city. New story. No ties. She was considering it when her cousin called out from the living room. "Nia, someone's here for you." She stepped around the corner, and stopped. Damien. Standing by the front door, holding a small box. No words yet. Just him, looking like a man who hadn't slept right. Nia didn't invite him in. Just folded her arms. "I thought we said what we needed to." "I know," he said. "This isn't to fix anything." She waited. He opened the box. Inside, a framed photo of them at their wedding. But now, the frame was engraved. One line. "I see you now." Nia stared at it for a long time. Then looked up. Voice low. Controlled. "Why bring this to me?" "Because I wanted to honor what I broke. Even if it doesn't come back." She set the box down on the side table. Didn't thank him. Didn't soften. "I asked myself something today," she said. "What kind of man asks the woman who stood beside him, covered his flaws, poured peace into his life, to make room for someone who threw him away?" He blinked. "Nia." "No," she cut in. "This part's for me." Her voice didn't rise. But her pain showed in the way she held her jaw. Tight. Precise. You didn't just choose wrong. You demanded I carry your indecision. He stepped forward. I'm sorry I hurt you. You're sorry it cost you peace. That hit deeper than anything. She exhaled slowly. You always said you wanted someone who didn't make love a war. He nodded. And I was that, she said. But when it got calm, you didn't know what to do with it. So you lit fires just to feel something. The room fell silent again. He looked at the floor. I'm not asking you to come back. Good, she said. Because I'm not coming. He nodded once. Started to turn. Paused. Then, does this mean you hate me? She didn't answer right away. Then said, no. It means I finally love myself enough to walk away from someone who only saw me clearly after I left. He walked out. Didn't ask for another word. Didn't try to look back. And for the first time since she said, I do, Nia didn't feel small. Didn't feel torn. Didn't feel like a performance. Just full. Nia woke up before the sun. Not from worry. Not from regret. Just readiness. She brewed her tea slowly. Sat on the windowsill as the sky softened from blue to gold. That feeling in her chest, the one she used to call tension, had changed. It wasn't gone. It was just hers. On the table sat two things, her journal, and the job offer letter from Chicago. She picked up the latter. Read it again. Deadline to respond, tomorrow. Her cousin padded into the room, barefoot, yawning. You're really thinking about it? Nia nodded. I'm not running from something anymore. I just want to build something new, without needing permission. Her cousin smiled, then hugged her from behind. Said nothing. Didn't need to. Across the city, Damien sat in his apartment, framed photo still on the table. He hadn't touched it since. He didn't expect a call. Didn't deserve one. Still, every buzz from his phone sent a jolt through him. None were her. Nia spent the afternoon packing. Not boxes. Just herself. She folded what she wanted to carry forward. Books. Letters. 3 photos. None of her and Damien. All of her smiling alone. She walked past their old apartment on purpose that evening. Not to feel sad. To remind herself what choosing herself looked like. The porch light was on. But the door stayed shut. She didn't stop walking. At the memorial wall on 7th and Broad, she tucked a new note behind an old one she had left there months ago. The old one read, I forgive the version of me that stayed too long. The new one read, and I'm proud of the version that knew when to leave. Back home, she opened her laptop. Typed the reply email. Subject, job offer acceptance, Nia J. Lewis. She hovered over send. Closed her eyes. Breathed in. Breathed out. Clicked. She didn't text Damien. Not out of anger. But because some closures aren't owed. Only lived. Would you have sent a message before leaving, or kept your peace and moved on? What does choosing yourself look like in real life? Let's talk in the comments. Nia stepped off the train in Chicago 2 weeks later. Cool wind. Different pace. No one knew her name, and that felt like freedom. She didn't post about the move. Didn't announce it. She just arrived. The nonprofit office was modest. Clean walls, mismatched chairs, a calendar with handwritten quotes. Her desk faced a window. It wasn't much, but it was hers. First day, she brought her own mug. Navy blue. No words on it. Just a reminder, silence can still hold strength. One afternoon, a colleague passed by her desk. You're always so calm. Nia smiled. I used to think that was a weakness. The woman raised a brow. And now? Nia looked out the window. Now I know it's my superpower. Back in Atlanta, Damien stood in his kitchen stirring a pot of rice. 1 plate. 1 fork. He'd stopped playing music in the evenings. Too many lyrics said things he didn't want to feel. He passed by the couch, the place where Nia once folded laundry, legs tucked beneath her, humming without meaning to. Now, just silence. Not peace. Just absence. He picked up a pen. Wrote a letter. Not to send, just to say what he never did out loud. You didn't break me. You revealed me. And I wasn't ready. I hope your new world sees you the way I never did, fully, and without condition. He folded the paper, tucked it into a drawer, didn't look at it again. Nia walked the lakefront on Sundays. Same time. Same bench. She brought a book each time. And a pen. She started writing again. Not about pain. About power. Not about him. About her. One Sunday, she noticed someone had carved words into the bench. Faint, but legible. You are not here to carry what others won't confront. She traced the letters with her finger. Then leaned back. Closed her eyes. Smiled. Back at her apartment, she placed a framed quote on the bookshelf. The one she wrote in her journal after she left. I am not difficult. I am just no longer willing to make my softness a sacrifice. That evening, a message appeared on her phone. From an unknown number. I heard you moved. I hope you're well. Serena. Nia read it once. Then deleted it. Not out of bitterness. Just clarity. That chapter had no space in this one. She ended the night lighting a candle. Lavender. Soft scent. She didn't need closure. She was closure. At the bottom of her journal, she added one final line. When he gave me a choice, I chose me. And that's the love story. What does choosing yourself actually look like in real life? Would you have handled that ultimatum differently, or stood in the same calm? Tell us in the comments below. Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.